welcome back to the channel, folks. So today I'm going to be talking about cast iron, and I have several different pieces of cast iron in front of me. I've got lots of skillets, I've got some Dutch ovens, and I use a variety of my cast iron for different ways. Recently we cooked some soup beans in one of these big, I believe this is a 12-quart cast iron Dutch oven, and it worked out really well. I'm going to show you how to clean, remove the wax, and season brand new cast iron from the store. So I actually bought this one from a local company, and a few of these other pieces I got from one of your big box stores. But this one, I know for a fact, is very similar to this big Dutch oven. It comes with a protective wax on the exterior of the cast iron, so you're going to make sure you remove that. So that'll be the first piece of cast iron I show you how to clean, remove the wax, and then season. And then we'll do a second video where I'll actually show you some of the older cast iron that you just need to clean and season, that's already been used previously, but you're just trying to remove rust spots, trying to basically refinish the exterior of your cast iron, make it look similar to this seasoned pot in front of me. So you can tell the difference is just the shading of the cast iron from one that's seasoned and one that's not seasoned. This is obviously a seasoned cast iron pot, and this is the inside of the pot. That's what it's going to look like once it's seasoned. So go ahead and step into the kitchen, and I'll show you how to remove the wax, how to clean brand new cast iron, and then we'll go ahead and start seasoning the skillet. Alright guys, so we're back in the kitchen. I've got all the materials I need to go ahead and clean the protective wax coating off of our new cast iron that we just bought. So I'll show you what I have here. So I've got, this is gonna sound really strange. A lot of people are gonna say, oh, never use soap on cast iron, which I agree if the cast iron's already been seasoned. But if it's straight out of the box, straight from your store that you bought it from, and it has a wax coating on it, I haven't found anything better than Dawn dish soap to take off that wax. So it's not gonna hurt anything. I've already done this to several other pots of cast iron, just kind of getting them prepared, cleaning them up, and seasoning them before actually using them. Never noticed any difference, so don't be worried about using soap when you first get cast iron. You're just trying to clean it up, get that wax off of it. It's not gonna hurt it any bit. I also use vinegar at the end. It kind of acts like a stripper. It shows you exactly where any remaining wax is gonna be. And when you're actually getting ready to season your cast iron, there are several different kinds of oil you can use. You can use coconut oil, you can use avocado oil. I actually like to use grapeseed oil, and it actually works really well. You just want an oil that has a high flash point. It's not gonna burn easily when you stick this in the oven for an hour at a time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, get this cleaned up, show you what I'm looking for when I'm cleaning all the wax off this skillet right here I'm getting ready to demonstrate on. It's brand new. I just bought it from a company, and I can tell right away that it's got a wax coating on it. And usually you can tell right away if you bought brand new cast iron. If they don't have any little rust spots on them already, it's probably got wax on it. So you want to make sure you remove that before actually trying to season it, because it's really going to affect your cooking if you don't. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to take our water, get that nice and hot, and we're going to put some Dawn dish soap in there. And you're going to want to take a scrubbing pad, anything that's got some strong bristles on it, and that's what you're going to use to remove all that wax off of your cast iron. So it's really going to take some elbow grease, but once you get it done, you're going to rinse it off, and keep repeating that process until you actually get all the wax off, because it's going to be a lot of scrubbing to get all that protective wax coating off of your cast iron. All right, so now I did an initial scrub of the cast iron, and I'm gonna go ahead and rinse it off. And after that, I'm going to look for any spots where wax might still be there. I'll probably even take some vinegar, throw it on there. The vinegar will actually show you where the dark spots are, and I like to use that just kind of as a final step, so that if there's any other wax buildup on your cast iron, you can make sure you get that off before you start seasoning it. So I don't think this cast iron had as much wax on it as the big Dutch oven I got at the same time, but I'm gonna go ahead and put some vinegar on it. Like I said, that'll kind of show me if there's any spots where there might be some wax buildup. Well, it's looking pretty clean on the inside. I'll go ahead and do it to the outside. So you really don't want any remaining wax left over on your cast iron when you go to season it, so I usually just dump some vinegar on there on all sides of it. Look for some big dark spots where the wax would be, and the vinegar kind of does a good job of pointing that out for you, so you can make sure and get all that off of there. So the backside looks pretty clean too. I don't see any big spots where there's any wax buildup. So I think this one's pretty much good to go, ready to go ahead and start seasoning. So we'll pull out the ingredients for that and go ahead and get this baby ready, preheat the oven, and we'll be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and take my grapeseed oil, put a light coat in the base of my skillet, and then I'm going to take an old handkerchief, and I'm just going to basically rub it along all sides of that cast iron. You want to coat every single part of that cast iron before you throw it in the oven. And I've got my oven preheated at 350 degrees. And then we're going to put it in there for an hour. And you're going to repeat that process 3 times. And once you do that, you'll notice there's a drastic difference from the original unfinished look of your cast iron to a seasoned piece of cast iron ready to cook over a campfire, over your oven, whatever location you're going to use to cook from. It's going to be ready to go. So I heated this thing up a little bit, and I'm using this handkerchief. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to use anything like paper towel or an old towel or something that's got a lot of lint. You don't want any lint on your cast iron. So it was dried. I just heated it up a little bit, enough to work in a little bit of oil, and I'm going to coat all sides of this. Handle's not too bad. I can actually hold it. But you want to cover every single square inch of this piece of cast iron, and a good coat of oil to create that solid base when you get ready to throw it in the oven and season it. So it doesn't have to be pulled up. You don't need a whole lot of oil, but you want to make sure it covers every single part of that piece of cast iron, so that when you throw it in the oven, it all gets an even base. You gotta be careful with a heavy piece of cast iron on a glass countertop, a glass oven base. So I got that first layer going here. Have a little bit more in there. And then we're going to throw it in the oven, like I said, for an hour at 350 degrees. And that's going to bake that layer of oil into it. Alright, so I'm going to start a clock for an hour, and then we'll come back and repeat that process 2 more times after that. Alright, so it's been an hour. I'm going to go ahead and pull this skillet out of the oven and re-season it for the second time. You want to be careful when you're pulling that out of there. It's going to be really hot, obviously. You're just going to re-season that 1 more time. And all you're doing is just creating a foundation, a base coat on your cast iron. And you're just going to do it the same way you did the first time. You're going to give it a nice even coat on all sides of the cast iron. I went ahead and let this cool for about 10 minutes before I pulled it out of the oven. I turned the oven off, and I'll turn it back on at 350. But once I get all this evenly coated again, we'll stick it back in the oven for another hour, and that'll be our second coat, and then we'll do a third coat after that. So I'm going to take this oven mitt, I'm going to do all the sides evenly. Try not to burn yourself. Alright, we'll stick that back in the oven for another hour at 350, and that'll be our second coat. Alright, so it's time for the last and final coat. So this is the third coat. I'm going to go ahead and pull my cast iron out of the oven. I let it cool off for about 10-15 minutes on this last coat. It's starting to turn shiny black and glossy. So I'm just going to put a little more oil in there. Make sure you don't burn yourself. And as you're doing this, you're going to notice that the cast iron is going to turn a different color than it was when you originally started, especially if you bought one brand new from the store. It's going to look gray when you first buy it, and then once you start doing this, it's going to start turning a real dark black, and it'll be glossy by the end, by the time you're done. Throw it in there 1 more time. 350 for an hour. Alright, so the third and final coat is finally done. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the cast iron out of the oven. Take a look at our cast iron here. It looks very seasoned at this point. So the last thing I'm going to do before I put my cast iron up for storage is I'm just going to rub a light coat of oil back on it, just to kind of help preserve it and keep it nice and shiny and glossed up and ready to go for the next time we're ready to use it. And that's pretty much all there is to seasoning cast iron for the first time. So if you have cast iron like skillets, something that's easy to hang, I would recommend hanging it from a wall if you can. If not, you know, I keep most of my cast iron in my garage, but I will occasionally go back every couple months or so and make sure I rub a light coat of oil on them just to keep them from rusting, because they will rust if you just leave them sit for long periods of time. So definitely, you know, keep an eye on your cast iron. If you can't keep it in your house, if you don't have room for it, which I don't really have room for it right now, but later on down the road I hope to be able to hang up all my cast iron and keep it safe and dry and ready for use in my kitchen. So appreciate you watching the video. If you learned anything, if you have questions, feel free to leave them a comment in the comment box below. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to be doing another video on cast iron. This is what my cast iron looks like right now, and I'm gonna let it finish cooling off for now, and then once it's cooled off we'll go ahead and put it in storage until we're ready to use it next time. Hopefully get it out this winter, do some cooking videos with it. I've got several Dutch ovens that we'll do some cooking videos with as well. But I've got a whole bunch of new cast iron that I want to go ahead and get seasoned, ready to go this winter and do some winter camping and cooking. So stay tuned for that. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next video.